Welcome to this week's edition of The Wrestling Source, the exclusive YouTube show of WrestlingNewsSource.com. My name's David, and I'll be your host each week as we take a closer look at the current events in the world of professional wrestling. This week, Goldust is the last of the WWE's old guard. Have Undertaker and Brock Lesnar given us a preview of WrestleMania 27? And what the Ziggler-Bryan match means to the secondary title picture in the WWE. Let's get started. We had a lot of great responses to our first video, a little overwhelming really. Many around my commentary on who the Raw general manager should be, especially my pick of Kevin Nash for that role. Several of you wrote in to comment that it should be somebody like The Rock or Stone Cold, which I think is a good idea, but beyond an initial first pop, I'm not sure how much longevity something like that would have. It's time to try something new, something fresh. I'd hate to see the WWE go into WCW's old ways or TNA's current ways of trying to rehash old stuff over and over again. I think bringing Kevin Nash in, while he is an old name, would bring a new twist on leadership for the Raw GM. I know they teased The Rock and Stone Cold with some catchphrases early on in the general manager's comments, but I think that was just a red herring to get us thinking and to get us hoping. Let's see an outsider, no pun intended, come in and take that role on. Also, some comments on Matt Hardy. Who do I think he would team with from a face perspective? I think if we could bring in Shannon Moore as a face, those two have a history personally. I think it could be another high-flying type team that could bring Matt some credibility. Who else do you think he could team with, and who else do you think the Raw general manager should be? As always, you can leave your comments here on the YouTube screen. You can email us at WrestlingNewsSource.com. Find us on Twitter at WrestlingNewsHQ or on Facebook at Wrestling News. We're looking forward to hearing from you. This week we saw a pay-per-view performance from one of the old guard in the WWE, Goldust, a.k.a. Dustin Rhodes, who competed in a match against a much younger competitor in Ted DiBiase, son of the $1 Million Man. This really revealed a lot about Goldust's status in the wrestling world and about his condition to continue. Maybe time for Goldust to retire from active competition and move on to being more of an enhancement type talent for younger superstars. The match was really kind of embarrassing. He was winded almost immediately. Was relegated to just a lot of big man brawling and not a lot of wrestling. Clearly outclassed by his competitor. Who, while not a great wrestler, is a lot younger and a lot sprier and green and learning. This was really a classic contest between a superstar on his way up and somebody who's kind of in the twilight. I like Goldust as the character. I think he's funny. I like his interactions backstage and in intermittent appearances. But it may be time for Dustin to work more on creating new angles for superstars as opposed to being the angle himself and being involved in pay-per-view level matches. What are your thoughts? Let's hear them. And that brings me to the confrontation that took place early last week with The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar after Brock's loss at the UFC event. Undertaker was being interviewed in the crowd just as a celebrity of interest by a UFC reporter, and as Brock walked by, the two had words. Undertaker caught Brock's eye and seemed to ask him, do you want to do it? And Brock kept walking and just kind of gave him a dirty look. As news came out later, this seems to be it was a work. It was a planned event between the two, and now rumors are circulating that this is being considered as the Undertaker's match to continue his streak at WrestleMania this year. And to be honest, I don't understand who that would benefit. If the Undertaker continued his streak and beat Brock Lesnar after a high-profile loss of the UFC title, this would be essentially Vince burying the UFC, which I don't see the UFC allowing, considering Lesnar's still under contract to them and would have to appear with their permission and would potentially have say over how he looked in the ring and how the match was booked. So I don't understand how that could be the motivation for the match. And I don't see The Undertaker laying down for Brock in his first WrestleMania loss to break the streak to a UFC fighter who comes in as sort of a one-off to beat him in the ring and end his WrestleMania streak. I don't see Vince allowing that to happen, seeing as UFC is one of his major competitors now, both for television time and for pay-per-view time. I just don't understand what the motivation for this is, and again, who benefits? Can one of you out there help me and set me straight and give me a perspective on this that maybe I'm not seeing? As always, we welcome your comments. Please let us know what your thoughts are on this building angle between the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. My final thoughts this week are on the secondary title picture in the WWE. We saw a great wrestling classic between Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler and U.S. Champion Daniel Bryan at the pay-per-view bragging rights this past Sunday, and a terrific rematch the next night on Monday Night Raw. While the Raw match didn't hold up completely to the caliber of the pay-per-view level match, it was still a really strong match. And this just really got me to thinking and kind of being nostalgic for the old days of the Intercontinental title and the classic matches that came out of the contests over that belt. Greats like Tito Santana, Macho Man Randy Savage, The Ultimate Warrior when he was in his prime. Just classic contests that really sort of underscored what the mid card was about. Classic competitions between technical wrestlers looking to make that big break and get their chance at achieving the next level. And I think the WWE really needs to take a closer look at this secondary title picture and elevate it to something close to what it once was. There's rumors circulating now that the WWE is going to consolidate its title picture back down to one World Heavyweight Champion. We saw the consolidation of the Divas belts and the tag belts as well. If they're going to go back to a single secondary title, this Intercontinental level title, I think now's the time to do it, and it's really time to start using that as the elevation route again for these mid-card talent to really prove themselves and show themselves worthy of competing for a major championship and work their way up toward world title status. That's what it used to be, and I really think that's what it should be again. Those are my final thoughts this week. We'd like to hear your thoughts, of course, as always, on the Intercontinental title picture and all current events in professional wrestling, including the ones discussed today. As always, you can leave your comments here on the YouTube screen. On the internet, you can email us at WrestlingNewsSource.com. On Twitter, follow us at WrestlingNewsHQ. And on Facebook at Wrestling News. My name's David for The Wrestling Source, the exclusive YouTube show of WrestlingNewsSource.com. See you next week.